all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of The Herd with Colin Cowherd talking about the Boston Celtics and Jayson Tatum, and, are they going to win it all? Should they be title favorites? I am really interested to see what Colin has to say with regards to this, because just the other day, he was talking about how Jayson Tatum isn't that guy, that he's, not good enough, and that the Celtics, should probably be favored to win, to get into the into the finals, but not necessarily win it all. So now that Tatum had a big game and they defeated, the Jazz, I want to see if he changes his tune and see if he keeps flip-flopping, because he has been absolutely all over the place. So I'm really curious to see what he has to say. Let's take a listen and break it down from there.
Better, but he's not in his prime. I think LeBron in his best nights is better. AD is better. I don't think they're really in their prime. Best domestic player in their prime is arguably Jayson Tatum. And last night, Tatum had 38. Celtics used a 20-0 run and blew out mediocre Utah. But this road trip, if J-Mac was watching carefully, really signified what the Celtics have been for the last 3 years, with Tatum and Jaylen Brown as their star players. They blew out the bad teams, can't beat Denver, and gagged away a win against an inferior team, Cleveland, because Tatum couldn't hit a big shot late. This road trip is the Celtics. This year, they lead the NBA in blowouts. Last year, they led the NBA in blowouts. The year before, they were number 2 in blowouts, with Brown and Tatum being the guys, musical chairs around them. This is what they do. They get a high seed in the East. The East is awful, worse than we thought this year. They're 33-7 against the East. They still can't beat Denver, and I still don't trust them late. Cleveland, Ohio, a week ago. Last night, though, man, was Tatum good. He's also really good against Portland. This is what the Celtics are. There's a very Mike Tyson quality. If Mike Tyson fought and I said, the fight goes 2 rounds, who you like? You pick Tyson. If I said, yeah, it's Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, it's going to go like the distance, later rounds, you'd be like, yeah, I don't trust Mike in those spots. He's not good there. That's the Celtics. So I thought this road trip, in a nutshell, was Boston. Still can't beat Denver, crushes the mediocre teams, and against the Cavs, a team they're better than, and would beat probably in 5 games in the playoffs. They had a last shot to win, and they took a terrible one. But again, they're 33-7 against the East, so they are going to roll. I would not be surprised if they didn't have 1 or 2 sweeps in the Eastern Conference. But they're 2-5 against the top 4 teams in the West, and they cannot stop Jokic because he's the best player in the league. And at any time in my life, the best player in the league is unstoppable. As you look at that video against Cleveland, which still, despite what Eddie House said earlier this week, I still think is an awful shot to get when you have a 7-inch height advantage in 18 seconds and a pick to get the shot to win the game. So, J-Mac, this road trip, 3-2 for the Celtics.
So, okay, this is where, to me, the Celtics are. And I think I may have said this before, but to me, it just becomes, increasingly more obvious. Let's use the Golden State Warriors as a perfect example. Back when they were in their prime and they were, in the full throes of their dynasty. If they were up by 20, they played the same. And if they were down by 20, they played the same. And if it was a 2-point game, they played the same. Whether there was 2 minutes left or an entire half left, they just always played the same way. They never got away from their identity. Okay, they knew what made them great. They always played loose. They always played fast. They shot their threes. They did what they needed to do. Plenty of ball movement. But they were also adaptable. They knew if Clay was hot, they're getting the ball to Clay. If Steph is hot, they're getting the ball to Steph. They weren't just so stringent, and it was never. And what also made them so great is that they were so unselfish. If Clay was hot, Steph wasn't like, I need my shots, I need my numbers. He was like giving the ball to Clay. Let's go, Clay. Let's go. And that's what makes, their partnership, they're just that team as a whole so awesome. You don't see that with other teams. Excuse me. The Celtics, if they're up by 20, everything's all great and everything's all amazing and it's singing and dancing, very reminiscent of the Cowboys. When the Cowboys were up, it's all singing and dancing. And when they're down by 10, it's very much like you see the Celtics playing so much tighter. They're not as loose. They're not as free. They're not as confident. You can see things kind of collapse. And that's probably the biggest argument against Tatum. And I love Tatum. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA right now, without a doubt. Love him, love him, love him. Want to see him succeed. But when he is not playing well, right? If he is in a situation where they're down by 10 and he's like, 2 for 10 or something like that, with a couple of free throws, you can see it, you can feel it. And it's not that the moment gets to him. It's not that he's incapable of getting himself out of it. It just doesn't seem like he has, the ability to. Like, it's hard to put into words. I don't think that he's mentally weak. I don't think that he then starts to just doubt himself and he panics. It's just like he just can't seem to find that rhythm in certain games or in certain moments of games, like despite his best efforts. And it's the thing that you see this a lot with him is like, maybe he's having like a 2 for 10 night or whatever, and he, has a great move and drives to the rim, and he just like rims the layup. It's just like kind of like, it's not even just like a straight up completely botching the layup, but it's just like, it's a harder layup where he's got to go like up and under and, kind of really spin the ball. And it just doesn't go in for him. And then you can see him it's just like you see it. You see like the gravity come down on him where he like makes that face, his head cocks to the side, and then he's now like looking to the refs to be like, come on, he grabbed my wrist. Like, and it just compounds and compounds and compounds. You don't see that with some of these other elite teams and other elite players like the Steph Currys, like the Kevin Durant's of the world. If they're down by 15, Steph is not looking to the refs to be bailed out, or if he misses a 3 and it's not falling, you could see him get angry at himself and he's chomping on his, mouth guard and stuff, but he's still like, doesn't forget who he is. He misses a 3 or airballs a 3 and they're down by 12. The next possession, he's putting up some like 25 footer. He just is so fearless in that regard. Short-term memory loss. That's the difference. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, the Celtics, they don't have that short-term memory loss. And you need that. One of the best things I ever learned watching the Golden State Warriors be as good as they were over the years, especially Steph and Clay, is that Steph and Clay they airball plenty of times. And growing up when you're balling, airball is like the most embarrassing thing ever. And, everyone yells, airball, you look stupid. Whether you're playing in a big game, whether it's high school or college, or whether you're playing pickup with your boys, an airball, you like feel it to your core where you're just like, man, oh my God, especially if you're playing pickup with people who you don't really know. You're either like in the city and you're just playing with all different people and you airball, you feel it. You're like, these guys don't know me. They don't know that I'm good. I just airballed. Oh my God. And now you're like afraid. And I felt that way growing up, honestly. And it wasn't, and I feel so, I'm like angry that I didn't get to watch Steph and Clay more when I was younger. Because especially when I was playing at my highest level for basketball specifically. And it was just like, wow, these guys will airball threes, and it does not matter to them at all. The fans scream airball, and they kind of just like smirk. Like, it just does not matter to them because it was just a shot. They missed it. It was a bad shot, whatever. And again, the greats are just like, whatever. It rolls off them. It truly does not matter. For the Celtics, for Jayson Tatum, for Jaylen Brown, and honestly other players as well, not just the Celtics, they feel the moment so much more. And part of that is because they haven't achieved the greatness yet. They haven't won the championship. So they still probably question whether or not they can or can't. I'm not going to be like Colin and harp on them for not being able to make like a buzzer beater shot. Like, your career or your skill set is not based upon whether or not you make some shot like that in the last second. It's just like too ridiculous of a situation and just one snapshot, in time. So it just doesn't really make sense to me. But it is worth noting that anytime you're talking about the Celtics, to understand what we're looking at here, looking at the situation of, can they win these close games? Can they not get tight in the moments that matter the most. When they're playing the best of the best of the best, and it is a 7-game series, can they bring it up? And if they are down by 10 and Jayson Tatum is 2 for 8, 2 for 10, and not having a great night, and it's the fourth quarter, can he just be like, enough? Because we've seen this with the Golden State Warriors is a perfect example of this. They've gone into fourth quarters down by 20, and still in the playoffs, Steph Curry could be shooting 1 for 8 from 3, and then in the fourth quarter he goes 4 for 4. And he's like screaming and chanting and yelling to the fans like, that's right, let's go. He could just turn it on. Everything can go right within a second. The Golden State Warriors especially can have a lackluster first half, and then that third quarter was always the magic quarter for them where they would be out of their minds. Steph's going, 3 for 4, and then, Clay's going 4 for 5. It's just an avalanche. It's the Splash Brothers. It was insane. And you don't see some of these, I haven't seen any of the teams really since the Warriors be able to do that, at least consistently. So you have to take the Celtics' success, and really any of these teams' success with a massive grain of salt, because no team right now, the only team most recently is the Golden State Warriors. And at this point, this was, years ago, they're the only team that's ever really proven, recently, to consistently be able to do what needs to be done to win. Not even the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets have to win again and again, honestly, to really prove like, no, they can do it. They can handle the moment. They can, they don't need everything to go their way in order to win. And so that's why I really, really am excited for the playoffs this season, to see what the Celtics, to see if Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown can, take a step forward in the playoffs. I believe they can, but I also wouldn't be shocked if we just get the same old, if they do drop a couple games and, Jayson Tatum just can't get going, and he just has like back-to-back games where he puts up like 10 points and then 14 points. And then like that third game, he puts up like 38, but it's like a little too late, It'll be interesting. It really will be. So I'm excited to see how it all unfolds. But what do you guys think? Those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think Jayson Tatum and the Celtics actually have what it takes this year? Do you think that they can actually beat everyone in the East and can beat anyone in the West in a 7-game series? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.